I'm so long, I gotta go all the way damn near to the stairs for you to see all of this. All of it. If you know that, you're a real one and we cool. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy you're here. Now, typically, I would not be in the happiest of moods, but my cycle is ending. Woo! Humans who still bleed understand exactly what I mean when I do a clap, clap, bravo. I felt it necessary to go ahead and get a good stretch in, and I've been needing to do this video. Stretching when cramping, stretching while bleeding, stretching while menstruating. I'm circling it all. I'm taking it all into one gumbo pot, and we're just gonna pour it in there. So typically, and majority of the time, we have pains in our lower hip area, hip flexors, lower back. We're gonna cover those areas. I really enjoy talking about things and talking about life with y'all because I like to cover two things. If you've been here for a really, really, really long time, like when I was still confused on what type of channel I wanted to have, I used to just sit and talk life gems. And if you haven't noticed, if you don't know me personally, your girl be having gems. So today, we're gonna cover a doozy, but we're gonna tackle it because if the solar eclipse taught us nothing, we just need to get to the truth and to the bottom of things. Today we're gonna be talking about, as we stretch, how I chose my husband through religion. All right, everyone's taking that in? We're ready? Let's get started. We're going to stretch our entire body, and for any instructional things that are that's happening that you may need assistance with, that I think you guys may need some tips on, I'm going to address them. But in the meantime, in between time, we're going to go to flow with my story. Now, follow me, and we're going to cover it all. As some of you may know, if this is your first video here, or if you've been here and you're subscribed, hey girl, welcome back from FRAM. We're Fram. We all know that I am going through a divorce, and we're rotating the other way. And we don't speak much of him because, as we're gonna call him in this channel, his name is Voldemort. And all of my Harry Potter fans know we ain't gotta mention his name. Actually, let's not call him He Who Must Not Be Named, because he don't even give Voldemort. Voldemort's too much of a good name. Okay? Really care. A wedding wasn't the end all be all. Not all women are like that. There are some women, as speaking for myself, I was a little afraid of marriage. Not so much as the wedding. I really wasn't even thinking about the wedding. I'm not even gonna hold you. I was more so concerned about the marriage, the pressure, the motherhood. I'm gonna turn this way. We're gonna stretch our arms. You have the option of sitting here. I do want us to stretch our ankles as well, because if you're having hip issues, it could be the flexibility in your ankles. That's a gym. You see me dropping free gems? Or you could stretch your toes and come here, which I'm going to do until I can't anymore. But we're going to stretch, like I said, our entire body. We're not going to just cover one thing at a time. So you have the option of those two things. If either of those are uncomfortable, grab pillows and put them in between your bottom and your ankle, and you get to kind of sit up if you need to. You have that option as well. Just kind of keeping some modifications open for you so we all can be on one accord, because when I start going, we going. So I did not think anything high of marriage. I didn't think anything low of marriage. Okay, the idea of marriage scared the hell out of me. Well, I've known her longer than that, but she was married to my dad for 20 years. So we're just gonna say, yeah, my stepmom. We were talking, and she was like, they talk about them dial men, but they ain't heard about them dial women. And me and my little sister, my sister is married now, so I won't bring her into this conversation. But there is something different that was instilled inside of us growing up with a father like mine. So the idea, the fairy tale, I love Disney Channel, I loved all of that, but there was just something about the responsibility of like being with a man and having to have children and being a mother that really was like, for me, it wasn't necessarily something I wanted on my checklist or had to be on my checklist. So I was a bit different when it came to marriage and the expectations. I've been in a relationship for 6-7 years at that point. 6 years. So yeah, 6-7 years. And we're gonna press from our fingertips, all the way fingertips. Have your wrist and your shoulders aligned parallel to one another, and we're gonna flex out and take our head all the way back. So we're gonna go ahead and warm up that back, your hips, but most of all that back. And this could be your shoulders, this could be your lats, your rhomboids. Your traps. We're just warming everything up, okay? So we're gonna do about 3 or 4 of these. So while in a relationship, there was pressure from my significant other's side to get married, because we had been together for a long time, right? And that is, especially, we both came out of heavily religious backgrounds. Baptist. Well, me, I'm going to speak about myself. I'm not going to speak about him. I'm going to speak about myself. I came from a heavy Baptist background. And that was another reason why marriage scared me too, because wow. The church doesn't make marriage for a woman sound that fun. Already from the gate, we the enemy in the church. So we are Jezebels. There was a thin line in between dressing the correct way. I was in ministry at a very young age with adults. I can sing, so, and I know how to find, I have an ear, what the musicians would say, an ear. So anytime you put on some music, I can find my note. And that is unheard of in a kid at a young age, which I believe it is a gift, but it is something, because I was in music. My mom was heavy in singing with all of the popular artists in Houston. That came natural. We listened to a lot of gospel music, which we're in part. So I learned it at a young age. So at a young age, at 10, 11, 12, I'm singing with adults because I could. And I've been taught my whole life. So I was heavily involved in not only the pew church, but the ministry church. And that's another topic for another day, because that's not what we're talking about. But there was a definite responsibility I felt as a woman, being a wife, that I was not excited to go into. So when his people pressured it, I was not the person to accept it. I always would say, hey y'all, let him make his decision in his own timing, because whoa, he would throw hints out. I didn't catch him. I was doing this with the hints every time. Okay. If you want to, you could press that leg down. If this is enough, reach for what you can. Calf muscle, ankle, feet, take it over. Whatever your capabilities are, stretch. But in every inhale, exhale, go deep into your stretch. And for me, as I speak, I'm inhaling and exhaling. So we're both doing the same thing. I didn't need the pressure, and I felt the pressure. I remember we had a party, because we would always do parties together, me and him. We would always have throw parties. And we had a party, and when they were leaving, I was like, he's about to propose. I knew he was about to propose. Now, not knowing that I had intuition, because I had been praying for it since I was 12 years old, because church girl, I was praying for gifts I didn't know. I didn't know. I was just praying for it because the pastor saying, that's what you need to be praying for. So I was praying for it at a young age and not knowing it grew at a rapid speed. So I knew it was coming. I knew the day it happened that it was happening. I was trying to be sure, because I was like, I don't want to be thinking this man about to propose to me and I'm wrong about this, but I was right about it the whole time. I knew everything. That morning, it was something that I felt. I knew it. And at that moment, I should have begun following my intuition in a different way. Now, in church, we are taught, and this was my growing up, so I'm not here to debate on what your growing up was, and we all have different followings, okay? So let's just go ahead and throw that out there now, because I know this is about to be a dispute. In my learnings, I was taught that a woman should submit, a woman should find, he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. I remember there was a minister at the church that asked me when she knew I was serious, because everybody knew me to just not be serious with guys. I didn't bring men to the church. But when I brought him to the church, she said, take his worst flaw and multiply it times 100. Do you still want to be with him? And in my mind, because I was taught to turn the other cheek in religion, I was taught to forgive. I was taught heavy, key thing, love people how you want to be loved. Treat people how you want to be treated. And it's going to come back to you. Press down, shaking together, run it over. And there was this idea that if I did what I needed to do, automatically the good was coming to me, because I was doing what I was supposed to do in the relationship, working towards whatever. I was serious with him. I submitted because I think I didn't know anything else. And that's what I was taught. There were certain things and conversations that we had. I was not taught to question it. And I'm not going to put all of it on the church, but my mom was heavy in the church. We're still deprogramming from that place. So I would never, I'm not blaming anybody, but I'm saying my choice was directed because of religion heavily. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that there was not enough messages taught to men about how upholding a woman's peace was high on the priority in the household in comparison to submission. Submission was heavy. Steward, right? What was the Proverbs 31 woman? Just being a woman like Ruth, and these ideas of a woman that were almost too perfect. It wasn't real. And so a woman getting angry, I didn't see. Now my mom would, we knew not to play with Nikki. Don't get it twisted. She's crazy. But I didn't know how to get angry like that in the church. I definitely didn't know how to get angry like that once I got in a relationship. Because how would I know? How would I know that I could express myself? That I should. So we're going to open up now. Open up as much as you can. Keep your legs as straight as you can the whole time. But relax your hips, okay? If you find yourself sticking, if you find your body like in a flex position, you have to catch it. Relax your body and bring your legs in to where you're comfortable, okay? This is about more of a stretch, less of a strain, less of a pressured stretch, okay? We're not trying to push our bodies towards anything. We're just really trying to open up our hip flexors and open up our bodies so our cramps ease up some. Because this is not to ensure that you don't have cramps. Let's go ahead and say that as well. This is to ensure that this reduces the cramps. Okay, great stretches for before you go to sleep, okay? I was taught as a kid, as a young little girl, being a cheerleader. Also, girls should be seen and not heard. Children should be seen and not heard. Really, ladies should be seen and not heard. And there was this element of being this woman who was upright. I hung around a lot of men growing up, or a lot of boys growing up. So I would listen to their conversation, wanting to perfect this woman on top of being this Christian woman. Why wouldn't a man want me? And then he gets me. I want to make sure that I am the easiest, most loving, most tolerant. Oh my gosh, the most tolerant wife I could be to him, because that's what a good wife is, right? I mean, I stand on my own. All of the things that an independent woman, because let's also precursor this. My mom didn't teach me how to be a good wife. She taught me how to be a good human. She taught me how to be a good person to people. My morality compass is huge because of the things and the lessons my mom taught me. So when it came to being a wife, the only time I heard it dramatically all the time was in church. The idea of what a wife should be came from church because of that. My mom is not married. I did have a stepmom. I'd seen marriages before. My grandma was married to my grandfather, but then they weren't married. I saw marriages. Don't get me wrong. They're everywhere. But I did not have a relationship that I adored to the point where I aspired to be like them. I looked at movies, wonderful love stories, but it didn't appease me the way that it appeases other people. So the idea of everything that I wanted to be, I learned through being a wife in church. And I remember when I met my spouse, it was the idea that I came from church, that I came from good crop. Like, she knows the word. She knows how to submit. She knows how things work in a Christian household. So she will go along with everything we do in a Christian household. And my God, I didn't know the secrets would come out after I got married. More so about his family and everything else. And it was like, oh, wait, but now I'm married. Oh, shit. We need to talk about this, because I was under the impression that he chose me. I wanted to be with him. this is a win-win. And he proposed. I didn't ask for a ring. He did it on his own. The idea, he pays most of the bills, so he's a provider, right? They tell me in church that this is what a man should do, correct? The illusion, you guys, that I had of what I was under. What I thought, because my checkoff list was vague. I remember my dad asked me, he told me, he said, Tiara, because he calls me by my middle name, he says, Tiara, you need to write down what you want in a man. Fold it up, put it in your wallet, and just keep it there. And if I still had that piece of paper, because I remember the day I threw it away. I threw it away after I married him. But if I could look at that piece of paper, every single thing that I asked for, he was that guy. Very vague list, because I didn't have much to work with. I wasn't taught enough about to even know that I should want something, because in religion, heavily, there is a God, there is man, then there is the wife, then there is the children. The hierarchy is set up specifically to only follow the person you are under. Because standing next to a man, don't shake the table now. You can support him, push him, make sure he's good, but you can never be above him. It was never God, her, him. So there was this idea that I had in my mind subconsciously, unbeknownst to me, because I was the friend in college that wasn't in no relationships. So and even in high school, I just wasn't that relationship girl. So when I got in one, there was this idea that, well, my word matters, but let me get his opinion just in case. I remember, I'm a singer. I have plenty of music that I've written. And real musicians love my music. He was a musician. I'm not gonna be shady. He was a musician. But there was a moment I sung to him, and he was so dry with his response. It was so like, oh. And I want y'all to know, I had left the church because what I realized was my religion was a cult, very cultish way. So if I wasn't a part of what they were doing and the rhetoric they were pushing, then we had been pushed out. And when I was old enough to see that, especially, that's a bad thing to see when a girl is in college, because her whole life, I'd given my life to ministry. I didn't go out partying with my friends. I didn't do any of that stuff, because ministry and family were my first two things that were always on my priority list. There was nothing else that was supposed to be in there, because those are the things that factored into the world that I was in. And if you functioned on the outside of the world, you were a sinner that needed to come inside. Not us going on the outside, but I started questioning that once I left high school and got to college. And then, you're hearing more about black bodies, falling. I was in Huntsville, Texas, city of police. So lots of racist men doing treacherous things to students at school. And I had questions, and I didn't understand why the pastor wasn't acknowledging the stuff that we were experiencing. But you're talking about this rickety-doo-doo stuff that's getting everybody to jump up and down, but you're not talking about the real things. So once I got out of that and go ahead and was like, let me get out of ministry, and then I realized the way that they loved me was conditional, I changed directions. And so I still meditate, pray. Don't think I don't have a higher power, but the conditioning that was taught from birth until 27, 28 was heavy. And I didn't catch how heavy I was indoctrinated until I stepped out of my marriage. It wasn't until I stepped out of my marriage I realized the whole reason I married this man was because of religious views. He was a God-fearing man. His parents were still together. He came from a Christian home. He had a job. He took care of his, that was the idea that I had of him, and an idea he had of me, that we were failing each other at miserably, but we were so indoctrinated that we thought this was happy. I remember we had a conversation about what a good man was. And I realized that not only do women struggle with a good woman wanting to be a good black, don't put black in front of it, wanting to be a good black woman. So then you have to worry about not being too ghetto. You don't want to be too much of a hoe, but you want to make sure that you know enough. You don't want to be too much of this, but you want to, and so there's this hard, we're going back in, and I know y'all like, what, Joyce, you just standing here? We have to allow the hip flexors to sit and stretch out. So I need you to be taking deep, and you don't have to go as deep as I go. Just kind of walk your hands out, hold it. If you need to come back, release yourself, shake your legs out, do what you need to do. But we're trying to reduce the cramps. Amen. So in understanding or in getting the idea that we were heavily indoctrinated and he was trying to be a good guy. So a good guy was because he had been with me with this many amount of years. He was supposed to propose because that's what a good man does. Because if he doesn't propose, he's out here just playing with their time and he's taking out. No, you're protecting me. Because you're anything but ready for what you think you're bargaining for. Then let's get to the vows. There was an issue that we had a disagreement, argument. I'm gonna turn this way so anybody that's trying to be too sexual, you can't. We're gonna stretch our hip flexors now. So I want you to take your leg out into a tabletop position. You see we're right above that hip. Go ahead and take that leg over. Take arms out to a T position. They don't have to be flat. They can be flat, but I want you to press from the ground on both areas. So you're actually making sure that your spine is stabilized and you're twisting in a way that's healthy for your spine, okay? We're stretching that posterior chain. We're hitting it. If you want to take it a little higher, straighten that leg out. And deep breaths. So we had a disagreement about the vows because I didn't want to say the vows that was in the Bible. I thought that they were not original. And I was like, there's one time to speak before the people, to say how you feel about me. And you want to say for rich or for poor, through sickness and through health. And it's so vague because I don't want you to be with me just because you told me you were going to be with me in this moment. I want you to want to be there. And even in the moments when you don't want to be there, you still want to be there. I don't want you to feel tied to me because the Bible said, if you don't stick with me, you're not a good man. No, want to be here because you're here now. You don't want to be here. Why the hell would I want you here and you don't want to be here? I'm not her. Some women function, some people function along those lines, not me. I want you to want to be here, even on the days when it's hard to be here. Be here, but want to, but please don't do it because you repeated something from somebody else and you feel like because you stood before God, you can't go against it. No, there should be a desire in your heart. Choosing to love people is a choice, y'all. Y'all choosing to love those toxic people, whether they be all the way from your mother on down to your kids. Yeah, I said it. Even your kids can be toxic. The idea of individuals, we get so caught up in their title that we dare not say that they're not capable of loving us to the degree that they are, that they're supposed to be capable of loving us. But if a man says he's my husband and he's not doing all that he can to love me, I'm communicating with him that this is very difficult for me. I don't want to do this. I want you now, before I start going in, if you can, grab what you can. So you see, we're starting. If you're going to grab here, push this back. You're going to push this not towards your chest because I don't want you to go here. I want you to go out towards your hips. Now, and I want you just to hold it if you can. If you can, grab the top of your toes. If you can't, grab what you can. So we're grabbing here, but I still want you to bring the force down, okay? I definitely couldn't do this towards you. And I could, but I'm not trying to be that sexual individual. We're talking. I want you to push down and you can rock back and forth. This is one of the best poses ever to get into. I hit her all the time, especially on that first day, because the cramps be cramping and everything in me is telling me just, what? So I also enjoy straightening one leg up at a time, taking deep breaths while you do that. So the decision to say, okay, this isn't serving me anymore. I had to let go of the title. And there's this idea that I think people think because numbers don't lie and numbers are showing that divorces are happening at a rapid speed. They are, because somebody's communicating and somebody's not listening. And we can find every reason to stay, y'all. I mean, we have throughout history, both humans, I'm not going to say which gender, all genders have found ways and reasons to stay because of marriage. The idea of me disappointing God never ran through my mind, because I've been led by her the entire time. From the moment I decided to do what I was going to do, she'd been with me. She led me. I had never heard her so clear, because I think I've been looking for this man to speak to me. But I heard a woman. And I think the first time I said that to my mom and my sister, I was so nervous. I didn't want anybody to think I was crazy. I didn't want anybody to think that I was tripping. But I was like, I didn't hear this voice that sounded like a man. I heard a woman. And I heard a woman telling me to get up. And I heard a woman telling me that you're about to go through a separation. And I heard a woman telling me that, we need to go. This is it. This is not changing. I heard a woman. And that does not believe that I still don't believe in this sublime God that created everything. Because not one time did I ever say I was an atheist. I don't believe in anything. I have to believe in something. I'm still here. But the religious part of me really was, I didn't even hear her. She had become so faint in my ears. Because the work, even if you can't bring your foot here all the way down towards the ground, just bring it where you can. Mine is on the ground. Let me bring it. There you go. But there was, like I said, this moment where everything clicked. And I said, okay, if you're telling me to do this, make sure I'm doing this the right way. And she said, okay. And she did. And then one foot, no matter, every day, mornings, I would wake up like, like, seriously, I need to look y'all in the face. I married this man with the expectation that we were going to be together. Nothing less. So when that was stripped from me immediately, and then you hear something, and then things get clear, and then you start hearing things clear. And so I'm like, well, wait a minute, well, what was I hearing? But I remember the day I got married. I remember saying, if there's a sign, give me a sign, because I'm doing this. I believe I'm doing the right thing, but I always want to be right. That's the thing about me. I'm definitely always trying to be right. And maybe not right, more so righteous within the means, like I said, because I was taught at such a young age about making sure you apologize, doing people right. Did you do what's right? That's always been something in the back of my mind, and that's definitely something that I'm working through, because I know all things can't be right to everybody. But it rained on my wedding, and I know people were all like, it was sunny right before getting there, and then it rained, and I remember crying like, what the hell? Because I just didn't get why it would rain, and I wanted this. That's the one thing I wanted. I didn't even want, you can keep your legs above the ground or lay them down there, okay? Wherever you are. We're just going to get this last few stretches in with our back. And I remember like, why would this happen? Because I didn't even want this wedding. We just could have got married. I really wanted to do a destination wedding. He wanted to get married. Then the people that were supposed to come didn't even come. Why can't I just get the one thing that I want? And that was my answer. That was my answer. And I just was not at a place to hear, because I just wasn't at a place to hear. And that happens. And so I wanted to make this video because I was having a discussion with my mom, my sister. I talked to them, and I talked to my village. So my best friend, my cousin Sissy, we all sit down and we talk about just everything that's occurring. And we're finishing up. Let's put the legs right in front of us too. Reach for your legs wherever you can. And there are these moments where I'm just like, I know I didn't experience this for anything. This is for people to know. This is for people to know that if you hear something that's telling you to do something else, majority of the time, if it's hard to do, that's what you need to do. Everything else in you are distractions and fears. leading you to places that take a longer time getting to said thing. Because every angel, you want to say angel, I say ancestor. My men in my life that are not here to walk the land knew, and they protected me. And they watched over me, and they made sure that I came out of there unscathed, even when I didn't think I came unscathed. And they have been walking with me ever since. And so has every woman in my life. Every woman that has been a part of my bloodline, that has fought, they have definitely been protecting me. If you feel it, go with it. I'm never gonna not tell you anything other than that. I'm always going to tell you to follow what you feel, even when it's hard. And I know that's hard. And you're saying, girl, please, you don't know what I'm up against. But we've all been up against something that we can face. And if we're standing in front of it, we have the ability and the power to face it. The only difference between me and you is that now I believe in that voice that was so faint in my body and in my spirit and my mind, that she's so loud and radiant in my soul and in everything that I do, that I have no other choice but to walk boldly. Because I understand and know that this was all a part of the process. So please, don't look at this video like I'm sad. I'm anything but grateful that I have been here through this process and I can talk to you guys about it. I really hope that I didn't step on any toes. If I did, it's okay. That means the toes were there to be stepped on. I said, excuse me, you just didn't move. I appreciate you guys so much for coming here. Do these stretches. You know I'm always giving you a little bit, especially when I talk. I barely even crack the surfaces of what I'm supposed to be doing, but that's a good thing because we're not supposed to be going deep in it. We'll be back to do another round of stretches while we're cramping, because it don't stop. I guess we menopausal, premenopausal. Guess that's when it stopped. My. The things we go through. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all so much. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share this with anybody that you know that is experiencing something that you probably can't help them with. And if it's you, I love you. You can do this. You got this. It's not about strength. This is about being courageous. All right? We already know you're strong enough. Every tool you need is already in the toolkit. Look down and stop looking around to other people to find the answers. They're within you. Okay, that's really it. I think I'm done. Okay. For real, I love y'all. Bye.